everyone. Thanks for joining me for another craft night with friends. Happy Friday. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners. And I'm here every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So tonight we are continuing on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along. And we quilted both of these little segments over the past couple days here with rulers. So we are practicing our free motion quilting with rulers. We got these two guys quilted. We're going to do the quilt-as-you-go process where we can make smaller little blocks like this and then sew them together later. We are going to prep for that tonight. So we're going to trim everything down, repair any edges that we need to, and maybe even get going on the quilt-as-you-go process. So that is the plan tonight. Thanks so much again for joining me here. Let's get going. All right, hello again, everyone. So let's take a look at what we got here. These are our two blocks that we finished. We did cute little scallops on this one, so you can see that really well. This was all done with rulers. So we did these scallops the first night, and we used 2 layers of batting, so they're extra floofy. You can see them really, really well. And this one we played with some of the other rulers that I have. So we got the little spiral going, and then we did the little mini scallop around the spiral, and then all of these kind of arcs on the edge. So that's what we did there. Now we're going to trim them down. The goal is we are going to add another block to one of our rows for the quilt-as-you-go process here. So we are having 5 of these like 2x2 blocks in each row. So this one has 4. So we need to stick one more of them on the end here, and then we'll have one for the next row. So we'll be starting row 4 when we're done with this, and that's awesome because there's only 5 rows total. So after this, we will have, then we can calculate how many blocks perfectly. So we'll have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blocks. Man, so we have like 35 of these guys to go yet. Okay. I feel like this is just taking forever, but I'm loving how it's turning out. So here are the 2 rows that we have done. So you'll remember some of these blocks there from ages and ages ago. So all those are sewn together. Again, we've named this basically the blonde quilt. I am attempting to do like a white background whenever I can on it, just because that's so kind of out of my wheelhouse. I'm used to just using like bright colors for everything. So that's that row, and then here's our second row. And those are so fun. I really, really did have fun quilting these. It's great quilt practice because we are using smaller little squares like this, so we can play around a bit more. So that's the second finished row. Soon we'll have to actually put all these rows together. Have not done one of those yet, but this one only has 4, so I figure we finish one of those with these, and then we'll have a start on row 4. And now I'm thinking we put this one on it, just because I just held this here, and I feel like this block is maybe a little too much like this block. We got like these 4 quadrants in the bright colors, so I'm thinking that we leave that one for the next row. Then it won't be like the same thing right next to each other. So I'm going for this one tonight. Let's see how far we can get. So to start out, we need to trim these edges, and I'm going to get my mat out for that. I got that foldable cutting mat here. These fellows are going to go to the side. Okay. So we need to trim these to 13 inches, and that's because we have, these are going to end up being 6-inch squares. They started off as 6.5-inch squares. So once it's completely sewn in the quilt, it'll be 6-inch. So that's the finished size, 6-inch. So if I think about calculating, I'll think, okay, 6 inches, 6 inches, that's 12. Then we have our little 1/2 inch sashing piece. That's 12 and a half. But right now, we have an extra 1/4 inch around the side. So 2/4 inches is a half. So we have to add another half to that calculation. So 6, 6, half, so that's 12 and a half, and another half is 13. So we need a 13-inch square. I only have a 12 and a half inch square here, so we're going to have to really get the center of this, and the center would be at that 6 and a half inch mark. So this one's got a big old dot right in the middle. So if we just kind of center that dot, that 6 and a half inch dot, because 6 and a half and 6 and a half is 13, then we should be able to cut this side and then rotate it around and cut the other edge. And that's looking pretty good right now. I can already tell we're gonna have to repair quite a bit. But let's just try and center it. I'm centering like the lines and the sashing. So the reason that we don't have enough fabric on the edge is because from the quilting we have all that poof, and the fabric had to make up that poof, so we lost millimeters with every dimension of that poof. So we have to make it up here. All right, 6 and a half. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. All right, I'm just guessing on that side. All right, I'm gonna rotate this whole mat just so I don't move that ruler. Yeah, we might have to repair all the sides just because of all of the poof here, all the batting. Okay, so now we should actually just be able to shift this like a 1/2 inch, which is tricky. We don't actually have a 1/2 inch. You know what? I think I'm going to actually just use the mat as my ruler. I know that's totally kind of frowned upon because these mats aren't always super accurate, but I think we're going to be okay. I'm going to grab my ruler here. Let's just count our 13 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh God, yeah, we have barely enough fabric here. So yeah, we'll be adding a little edge to this in every direction, I think. So I'm going to trim the other one right away too, just so we can get that guy prepped as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that's one. I mean, you can see we are going to have to repair, yeah, even this side where we have this big area here, we're going to have to repair that a little bit. But here we just need to add a little bit more white. Actually, we're probably okay here because I think all this is going to fit in the 1/4 inch. But yeah, we got some areas that we definitely, you can see here that we're definitely going to need a little bit more edge on, so a little bit more edge. But it already looks like nice and clean, all trimmed up. So let's do that to the other one. We might not have as big of a problem with this one just because it is that thinner batting, so that might have helped us a bit. So let's center. I'm going to use that 6 1/2 inch kind of mark here again. There, like this. I'm going to just use the ruler, the mat as my guide again then too. Gina's asking, so if I sewed a bit smaller seams, would it help with this problem, or mess the blocks up. I think it would actually mess the blocks up because it would make the blocks a little off center, I think. Yeah, it would affect that. So, and some blocks have, 40 pieces in, so those would expand quite a bit if we did smaller seam allowances. And so I don't think we'd be able to control that very well. I think typically how Quilt-as-you-go is done is, this is my first Quilt-as-you-go quilt, so I suspect that maybe it's not done like this all the time. Maybe it's done where you applique a piece in the middle or something, and then you have a lot of extra fabric on the outside. My guess is ideally you do some sort of design where you have more fabric on the outside, would be my guess. So you wouldn't run into this problem, but I don't know. It's just a guess. All right, let's cut our 13 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have to count it. I have to count it out loud just to make sure. Yep, feel free to ask any questions. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. Trim that up. So we are working on, just to review, we're working on the Splendid Sampler 2 Quilt Along. We've been working on this for probably 2 years now, which is crazy, but we're getting on with it. It's going. It's one of those projects that we keep ticking away at. All right, see, now this is much better. These edges are good. I think this entire top line is fine. But these edges down here we'll have to work with. This entire edge I think is fine too, but we'll have to add a little bit here. And I think that's what we'll do next. So this is the one that I want to attach to the end of that row, that other row. So I think we'll start with this one. So I'm going to grab my bin. All right, so this is the bin that I'm storing half of this project in. So this is the half of the project that has my little sashing pieces. We cut a whole pile of these. Oh, here's a little spare, so maybe this will help with repairs. I've just been using the sashing for repairs as well. So I'm just grabbing a bunch. And then here's, the rest of our batting and our backing. I think, this will be for our binding strips later, so I'm going to leave that out. Our in-the-middle binding strips. I'm not quite sure we'll get to that today, because I do want to work on this repair. So I think how I'm going to start is by sewing a long strip together here, and we'll use this strip to repair this bottom edge. I'm actually going to sew these 3 bits together, and then we'll repair just this little edge here. So let's move on to the machine. So I hope everyone's having a lovely Friday here. Oh, I'm back to my steampunk sewing machine. So this is my old Kenmore sewing machine. I think I call it the steampunk sewing machine. It's just like this black boxy industrial looking thing here. Oh, it's so smooth too. It just feels much smoother than that other machine. I need my little skizzers here. All right, let's add that second piece right away. So we've kind of almost had to do these repairs on everything, all of these blocks, which is a bit annoying. They blend right in because our sashing is this white color, and our background, most of the backgrounds of the blocks are this white color as well, so it does kind of blend in. Oops, here, I'm trying to grab more. Leader pieces here. Okay. got all my little scrappies. All right, so let's turn on the iron. I'm going to give this a press, and then we should be able to just sew it along this edge and repair it a little bit. I'm probably just going to sew like with 1/8 of an inch where I can see the fabric, and then we'll fold it over. I want the least amount used as I can. So let's get my little pressing mat out, and we will press those seams. I think I'm going to press them open just to kind of disperse the fatness of those seams a little bit. Really, we could probably make a whole pile of these strips all at once, but we'll go one at a time. So pressing the seams open. Nolene says, I wonder if you free motion quilt on the steam, I have not free motion quilted on this Kenmore machine. They're all Kenmores, but the steampunk machine, I think it would handle well. Just cover up the feed dogs. That's true. I could just cover up the feed dogs. The feed dogs don't lower on this. So I suppose with that, so what is that? This guy, I have it all, the So Steady. I rolled it back up in here. I'm going to return it because it did have those cuts in. It doesn't seem like there's damage to the cover, so I don't really know why it had all those cuts in, but I think the So Steady could cover those up. Yeah. Oh, the one thing is that my presser foot won't fit on there, so we'd have to do a completely exposed needle, and that kind of scares me a little bit. I don't have any other presser feet for this machine, and it's kind of a weird presser foot. I haven't seen a presser foot like it before. So I could order, I don't know, from somewhere maybe, a presser foot that works like this. It's so different than what I've seen. It's a really low shank, but how it goes on, it has this really big weird screw. I don't know. I haven't actually taken it off before, which seems weird. I should do that once. But yeah, it'd be fun to try free motion on here. But yeah, I would have to unscrew the feed dogs or just cover them up somehow. So I'm just going to sew a little bit of a seam allowance, like 1/8 of an inch, right along the where the fabric is too short. Feels good though to get back to this machine, which is funny. This machine's totally grown on me. So we'll press this seam and then trim the edge. Then we'll, fix the other parts. All right, let's grab another leader. Gonna have to cut more fabric soon. I'm almost out. All right. Oop, get this guy. Let's press. So there, this kind of does the repair for us. I'll trim this down again to that 13 inches. I suppose we could have done the repair a little bit before cutting the original 13 inches down, but I find that this kind of reveals where I need to do the repair. So I like doing it this way. I'm just going to snip this. There we go. So we can use this piece yet. So there, that bottom edge is repaired. Just this right here I think we need to do yet. I think I can get it with one. just kind of veer off to the edge and get it. Yep, I think this will do just fine. I don't think I need to go all the way to the edge. You know, this one would probably be sewn in, so I just need to like get a little bit here and be done with it. I think we'll be fine. Get a little bit of the edge here. Quick repair. All right, that's good enough. Oh, my thread just broke there. Well, it broke at a good spot, so. I've been doing that a lot lately. If I get it right at the wrong angle, like these feed dogs are really sharp, so it kind of, I think the feed dogs cut it every once in a while. All right, let's press this over, and I think we'll be actually fine. There, plenty good. Let's trim all that up, and I think we'll actually get started on this. I'll repair the other one later. I'd like to get onto the free motion, or the quilt-as-you-go of it all. So I'm just going to eyeball trim this, basically. Let's just go right along the edge here. Get my cutter, get my cutting glove on. All right, and let's trim that up. Okay, so this is scrap. That's too thin for us to use later. Ooh, some fuzzles. And let's trim this guy up quick as well. Excellent. So our repair is done. Now we have a nice cleaned up 13-inch piece all the way around. So here's our little repair, the little white edge there and the little white edge there. So it's subtle, it exists, but once it's sewn in the quilt, it's really hard to see. So there's a lot of other repairs on the rest of the quilt, and they're all just a little difficult to see. So, all right, next up, I do need my little bin again. So ultimately, we need some front pieces and some back pieces. So for the front, I need 2 of our sashing pieces. These are 1 inch wide, and I need a cornerstone, because we're trying to mimic our little sashings that we're doing on the other one. So I just grabbed a piece, and then we also need, ooh, none of these are cut, I don't think. Yeah, these are gonna be extra long. Oh, let's see. 11, 12, 13. Okay, so these are just wide enough. That is for our back piece. All right, and I'm also gonna need, well, we're gonna sew it on it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, okay, so this is the one. So I have that prepped here. Oh, lost my square here. The floor is eating all of the things today. All right, so let's sew. What we're mimicking is this little sashing piece where you have the white piece, then the piece in the middle, and then the bottom sashing piece. So we're gonna sew those 3 pieces together first. So let's head back to the machine. All right. Oh, but we got our thread problem here. Oh, you know what? I think it just twisted up this on the tension on the side here, which it does. I guess these machines just aren't perfect. could be doing it wrong too. That's definitely a possibility. All right. I'm gonna get a clean edge here, and we'll thread this machine. Ooh, this machine's also getting awfully fuzzy here again. I bet you it's from the batting. We'll have to wipe it down. We did just oil this. I don't think we need to oil it all again. There we are. It could use a wipe down though. That's what it looks like. All right, let's get our leader testing this out. All right, and now our little pieces here. And I'm going to get that second piece on right away. Then we'll press this, and we'll also press the back piece right away. The back piece has to be pressed in half, just like a binding would, because that's basically what we're making. We're making a little kind of mini binding. Okay, let's press this guy. So I think we are pressing these seams outward so we can still nest the seams. Get those edges all lined up. All right, he's ready, and then let's get this feller done too. So this we need to press in half the super long way, so like so. And if you have a patterned fabric, you want the pattern on the outside, so the wrong side is hidden on the inside here. Let's scooch him over. Okay, so all of our pieces are prepped now. We have our back piece folded, so we have the fold on one side and the raw edges on the other. We have our front piece, and we have our two pieces we want to sew together. To start out, I am going to sew all of these onto one side, and I think I am going to get clips out to help me out. These pieces are long and skinny, and there's a whole lot of them, so I'm going to need all the help I can get. All right, so what we want to do is we want to pin all these together. So we have the raw edges, all the raw edges together. So we have the folded side and then the raw edge side, the two raw edges of this piece. We're going to place this on top of it, our finished block here. Okay, that looks good. And then we're going to place this guy with right sides together. So the good side of this is going to go onto the good side of this fabric. We're going to put those together, and I'm going to line it up with the sashing piece that's already there. So just like so. That's going to be the first place I put a clip as well. We're clipping all of those layers together. All right, so now I just need to go up the edges and clip them all together. I got to shift it back into place if I need to. So we're now doing the assembly part of the quilt-as-you-go process. So we've already quilted them. We've quilted as we went. And now it's like, okay, how do you assemble them? Because they have all these raw edges. We're doing that with, we're mimicking the front sashing, and then we're going to be putting a binding on the back. So this is kind of what it looks like. So this is one that's done. So here's the front piece, and then we have basically this kind of binding piece in the back that's covering up our raw edge, and that's kind of what we're creating here. So let's we got to finish clipping that bottom. And I didn't actually measure this back piece, but I knew it was long enough, so we'll just trim these edges when we're done here. I could have trimmed it to 13 inches right away, but I didn't really have to. So, because I'll just trim it when I'm done. So I didn't worry about it. All right, but the front piece is exactly 13 inches, so that we have to line up. Let's sew these guys together. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy we're getting one of these, like, at least a little bit together tonight. We probably won't finish, we won't ultimately finish putting this together because we do have to, I'm going to be hand stitching this binding. So I won't be done with that. I think I'm going to back tack here just to keep this edge all kind of tied up. Okay, so I'm going to slowly remove these clips. And we're sewing with our 1/4 inch seam allowance. Through all those layers. I mean, you can hear me kerchunking through all those layers. You guys, not tomorrow, but next week, we're going to be embroidering again. We're going to be embroidering the embroidery of the month, which is that cute little fox, that summer fox pattern, that fox in the lavender. I'm super stoked for that. We actually kind of have a couple, like 2 free weeks this month as well, because it's another kind of half month. So the end of the month is half August, half September. So we're going to have that week be a free week as well. So I'm hoping we can, I think the summer fox pattern will take a little bit longer than the week to stitch. So we'll finish that up the next week. And then I want to finish up this mandala love embroidery. We've been working on that one for ages, that tea towel, and I would love to actually finish it, and we're totally almost there. So that would be awesome. Okay, here we are. All right, so there's our first pieces. All right, and now I think I'm going to just trim these edges. I'm just going to eyeball it. There, good enough. There, good enough. So now we can attach our next block. So what we're going to do for that, I'm going to press this first, just the top. I'm going to press just this top over. I'm going to leave this bottom kind of like little flange that we made, that binding piece. I'm going to leave that flat for now. I'm just going to press this top over. And then we're going to, with right sides together, sew this piece to our sashing piece. But we're not going to sew it to the back piece, only to the sashing piece at this time. So that is the next step. Let's give this a press. So when the quilt is done, you don't have to add binding. Yep, I will still have to add binding. I won't have to add any borders, though. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I'd have to quilt those as I went to. We will need a binding because all the outer edges will still be raw, but all the inner edges will be done, so we won't have to quilt it. We won't have to, like, we're kind of skipping, or we're doing on like micro scales, the sandwiching the quilt together and quilting it. We're doing that during the process here, so we don't have to do that later. So I don't have to go on the floor and sandwich these pin these large giant pieces together. All I'm going to have to do is, measure how big my binding needs to be, and then put the binding on. That's it. So I will still need the binding, the finishing binding, and a label too, probably. It's one thing I always forget to do. So we'll have to figure what we want to do for that. All right, I'm trying to line up that center. Clip that. So again, I'm only going through that front sashing piece. I'm not doing anything with this back, so I don't want to sew through that. We're just paying attention to this front piece. Actually, I should probably be sewing, I suppose it doesn't matter. I was thinking I should be sewing the other direction, but I don't think it really matters at all. Let's just do it this way. I'm already here. Ugh, I don't know. Maybe I should go this way. We're going to go this way. I changed my mind. Then I can line it up, just because this is like lower. It's not as poofed up. So I think we're fine like that. I'm going to put one more in there. I must have another clip somewhere. I guess not. We'll grab another. Okay. I like putting on a binding, though. That's kind of my favorite part. That's the part where it feels finished. Like home stretch is when you're putting the binding on. Might as well be finished. I like sitting around and hand stitching a binding. I think we're good here. Okay, so now that piece is sewn to the rest of it. So we have basically our fifth segment on here. And that looks pretty good. Our like sashing piece blends in with our other ones. We got that little cornerstone in the middle there. That's looking awesome. So I think I'll just press this a little bit. And then all we have left is we have our two raw edges on this side, right? But that's why we made this binding strip. So I should be able to pull this binding strip over, and we will hand stitch that to the other side of the quilt, and that's what finishes up our edge. So that's it for that. I think I will press that over for now, but I don't think I'm going to actually do that tonight. I think we'll work on repairing that second block, just so we have that. That'll be basically it for that block, because we need more blocks to sew to that one. That's going to be the first one for row number 4. So let's just do a little bit of pressing. But I think we'll come back and do this row number 3, the back stitching, another time. And like I said, we have the free week, so maybe we'll have a day that we can do the hand stitching on this. But it just seems like too big of a thing to kind of do right now. But I will press it. And we can take a look at this whole row. But it is attached, so that's one step. I should get a project sheet out and write on there what my last step was, so I remember that we have to go back and hand stitch this. helping it out by pressing though. All right, so this guy is ready to go for next time. And here we are. We have our 5 pieces all together. It's actually 10 by 2, so 10 blocks. So this is 20 blocks. Man, it's crazy that each one of these represents finishing 20 blocks here. Ugh. So I'm thinking it's looking just so nice. Love it. All right. So he is good here. All we have to do, like I said, is we have to hand stitch that binding. We'll leave that kind of upright so we remember that for next time. But we do have this guy yet. It'd be nice to prep him too. We have a little bit of time left. This one we have to repair a lot more sides. So why don't I just sew a bunch of those white strips together, and then we can keep just going along the edge. I think that's kind of the best route. I'm just going to grab a handful. We'll just leave this guy here for now. Okay, so I'm just going to sew a whole pile of these together. If I don't use them now, I'll use them later for sure. So let's just sew them by 2s. I think each one of these can almost finish a side. So if we have 4 sides to finish, let's say, I'll need 4 of these, and then let's just add 2 more. And this last one can go away. So I'm going to work on sewing all these together. So we'll sew them in pairs, and then I'll take them off and sew them in one long thing. I wouldn't have to do it in one long thing, but I think that's going to conserve time to do it that way. So, all right. Sewing machine, here we go. So let's put those all together. So this is for our repairs again. We need to repair the edges of that quilt block. Oops. There you go. Let's go. All right. I like when we just get to embroider together. So that's what we'll do next week, is just embroider. Then we can just chit chat and go through some stitches, and it just be fun and relaxing. Oh, nope, Amy, we did not get any more. I think we actually have one. So I ended up just tossing them, but we did get one more of those vintage newspapers from our attic. One just said congratulations on it, and that's it. That they had closed all up already, the siding guys. But yeah, weren't those fun? That was neat to take a look at those. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we had our siding redone on the house. We had some hail damage, so we were able to get new siding. And it revealed a hole in our attic where they had to replace a vent, and there was newspapers in there just loose for insulation from, I think it was October of 1947. So 1947, just crazy. That's just too crazy. But yeah, there's some fun catalog shopping ads in there, and just news articles like Ike is coming to town. Crazy. Little moments in history for sure. Right, now this has a little stain on here. I'm going to just trim that away. And we won't use that piece. Okay, we should have them all sewn together at this point after this one. and then I'll press them, and we will be good to go. I need a new leader, though. Okay. So trim these up. We should have our long piece going here. And I hope I sew them in the correct direction. We'll find out soon, I suppose. All right, let's press. So I'm pressing all the seam allowances one way, and then I'll come back the other way, and we'll press them all open. This is super long. Longer than it was in my head. That's okay. All right, let's come back the other way and press these seams open. Pressing them the opposite direction to kind of make them stand up, then they're a little bit easier to press open. When was our house built? It was built in 1946, so they put all this installation up. Must have been a year later, or maybe they started it in 46 and finished in 47. That could be. I don't know. It seems weird that the installation was put in a year later, but who knows? Yep, the project sheets are, Pamela, I think we're launching the project sheets next week. So you guys have the inside scoop. We are having our little project sheets, our little notepads of project sheets. They were a freebie last month for anyone who got the embroidery of the month last month. But we are going to be releasing them as notepads, I think next week, or maybe this weekend. They're also available as a free download, so you can head to the to our page and do a search for project sheet, and you'll get a free download of it. So free downloads available right now, but we will have the notepads available next week, and I don't think I have any within arm's reach. Oh, maybe I do. Nope, I don't have one within arm's reach, but I'll show you guys next week. But yeah, I'm super stoked for those. Those will be available for real as notepads coming up very, very shortly here. But yeah, and it's free if you want the digital download version. Okay, let's try and do this now. So it doesn't look like I need this edge at all, so I'm going to try and kind of curve this up a little bit and get on this edge, where it's really needed. Then we'll press and trim. Then we'll do this whole entire edge, press and trim this entire edge, and maybe we'll even do this entire top edge as well. So lots of edges on this one. But it'll be good getting this piece done too. Then it's ready to go for the next time we want to work on when we want to attach something to this one. We won't have to be like, oh yeah, we didn't finish that one. We'll have gotten it done here. So I'm curving this a little, but I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. I don't think it's gonna stretch enough that we're not gonna be. It's gonna be fine. We're lined up. All right, let's get another leader. Okay. Scissors. All right, let's give that a quick press, trim, and get our next piece going here. Tiny little repair. All right, just trimming that down, eyeballing it. Good enough. Totally veered off the edge, but we'll be trimming all that off. All right, next edge. I don't even need to go all the way to the edge. I only have to go to like about there. This one we're going to do the complete edge because this one needs it pretty well. So poofy. Which is cute. I want to do a whole poofy quilt like this. That'd be fun. Press that side. Two more. Two more, and then we've got it. Yeah, I know, the steampunk machine just totally glides through all the layers. Yeah, it has zero problem whatsoever sewing all of this together. I love it. It's doing amazing. Now that I spent the time to get to know it a little bit more and learn how to oil it, learn about the motor, all that stuff, now it's a friend. Ooh, this edge goes way up here. This edge is super jaggedy too. This probably needs the biggest repair, this edge. Okay. And really, once I got on the pulley wheel on this machine, that small wheel that's attached to the motor that makes the whole thing move, once I put that silicone rubber band on there, holy cow, has that made a huge difference. It doesn't slip at all anymore. I have noticed that some of that silicone band is rubbing away a little bit, so there is friction happening. There's something going on there, but it's still totally just fine. And I have a ton of those as well, a ton of those silicone bands, so we'll be good for a bit on that. All right, I'm going to just trim this seam off because it's close to the edge. And I don't think I have to go all the way to the edge on this one. I think we're just going to do enough for this first one, and then I'll veer off. But this first one needs it a lot. This is it, though. We'll trim it down, and this one will be all prepped for when we'll finish 4 more blocks to attach to it. So yeah, I'm glad we stopped working on the other one to do the hand stitching on the other one to do this one. Oop, let's get that. This guy got folded over. Just because this would have been annoying to have forgotten that we didn't actually finish it. And then like finish 4 more blocks and get that one all ready to just be like, oh, we didn't finish anything on that one. That would have been annoying. All right, I'm veering too far here. The poofiness is acting up a bit. There. Slow roll off of there. Last leader of the day, so we'll trim this all down, and we'll have a prepped block. We can't even attach this to anything yet, so we just about finished all the quilting as we could tonight. All right, let's do this final press, and then we'll trim all of these buggers down. And it'll look magically all cleaned up. All right, this I'm just gonna snip. We'll definitely use this to repair another one later, I'm sure. Let's make this mat large again, and I'm just going to use this edge again to trim, keeping it simple. Ooh, this one just... The middle of this one is really kind of pulling back on itself. We'll have to keep an eye on that when we sew that into something. I should maybe press that. I'm going to give that a quick press before we're done here. Edge. This one too, I'll press both of these edges from the back here real quick before flipping it around. All right, let's just throw this up on top. Side too. Too much poof. All right, let's see what this one looks like. All right, there, that looks so much cleaner, but look at all the edges we had to repair. So all the edges really, so we have that little white, you know, just a sliver down here, but bigger on this side, and big on that side as well. But we still just had a sliver. So this is actually probably going to end up in the seam allowance. We might not even ever see this bottom one, but I needed that extra edge just to make sure it would sew up correctly. This one we might completely lose in the seam allowance as well. This one I think will stick out in the seam allowance once we're sewn. But there, all right, this is the start of row 4 for our Splendid Sampler 2 rows. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. All right, there we are, our repaired row with the pretty scallops, and let's take a look at this one. So this is, tonight's is this one right here, and we just have to do that hand stitching of that binding, but we got a full strip of 20 blocks here. That feels like an accomplishment. On to row 4. Definitely more than halfway done now. All right, you guys. Thank you again for joining me this week. Next week we'll be working on the fox embroidery. I'll be putting all this away tonight, and we'll pick it up again next month. Little by little, we're going to get this guy done. So thanks again, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend, and I will see you again on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Have a great evening. Good night.